welcome to this week's IG Live. Today we are going to be talking to the authors of a new book about getting kids out in nature. And it is actually written by someone who is very young, but very, wise beyond her years, and that's Audrey Noguera, and she co-authored this book for kids with her father, Taylor. And so they're going to be joining us today to talk about that. About where you like to go in nature, or maybe what's holding you back from getting out there. And one of the things we're going to talk about is about how nature is all around you, and it's important to really help kids get out there. Good to see you again. Maybe for those that don't know you, you can go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the book.
Sure. My name is Audrey Noguera. I am the author of the children's book, Tiny Travelers Find Your Forest. We actually have a copy in English and in Spanish with us. And the book is all about getting kids and families of all backgrounds out into their local forests and really just taking advantage of all of the wonderful and beautiful things that forests have to offer. I'm also a high school student, so I'm the president of my class. I live in South Orange, New Jersey, and I spend a lot of time outside and reading my favorite books. So, yeah.
Love that.
I am Audrey's dad, Taylor Margis-Noguera, and co-author, also here in lovely South Orange, New Jersey. I am not a high school student. Excited to be here with you again.
Well, we're so glad to have you. And I think this is such an important book. Like you mentioned, this is about getting children of all backgrounds out and into nature. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But maybe first you could tell us a little about, Audrey, what inspired you to write this book?
Sure. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And being in Brooklyn, I always sort of felt like the forest was some faraway place that you couldn't visit, that only existed in fairy tales and stories. And so when we moved to New Jersey, we're really lucky to live next to a reservation and a bunch of hiking trails. And we visited a couple of trails in the first few weeks that we moved here. And I was just so surprised at how beautiful and amazing the forests are. And I just thought everyone should be able to experience this. And so with this book, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that there is a forest right outside your door. And, you know, whether you know it or not, you have the ability to spend time in nature and really just enjoy the beauty and wonder of it all.
So beautiful. And I'm glad you mentioned the part about about how we often, especially if you live in a city, you think of forests as being someplace far away. And I know one thing you talk about in the book is that, you know, your local park or the trees in your neighborhood, that still counts as forests, and it's still important to go and interact with nature. But what are some of the benefits for kids for getting out in nature? I mean, why did you enjoy it so much?
I mean, I think especially in a day and age where social media and technology is so prevalent in the lives of kids and all people, you know, especially in the United States, that it's incredibly important that we are teaching kids at a young age how incredible it is to disconnect and spend time outside and just have a second to take a breath and enjoy what's right in front of you. And I think especially for me, you know, I come home from school and I'm stressed and I'm tired, and I just get to walk outside and just even look around at the trees outside my house or go into my backyard and just breathe for a minute. And it's such a wonderful way to de-stress and disconnect and recharge. And I think it's just really important for kids of all ages to know that that resource is right there and that they can take advantage of it no matter who they are, no matter where they live. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a bit about, as you said, what are called urban forests, right? Come to realize that even on your street in Brooklyn or in Houston or Los Angeles, wherever you may be, there is a little mini ecosystem. There is an urban forest there, right? And if you go and look closely, and sometimes if you go and you close your eyes and listen closely, you can really hear and discover the nature around you.
Yeah, I think that's such a perspective shift, right? I mean, one, you're talking about realizing forests are all around you, but also just getting kids outside and having them do those kinds of observations, just disconnect. And I know you talk a lot about getting all kids outside and encouraging inclusion in our forests, because I know I try to read a lot of children's books about nature, and there's not as much diversity in the books as there should be, and as you kind of talked about. So why was that something that you were, so aware of that you really wanted to incorporate into the book?
Something that really surprised me in my research in, looking into forests and who's going to forests and what impacts the forest have on people, is that only about 10% of national park visitors are people of color. And as a Latina myself, that was so shocking. And I mean, as I said, the forest has had such an impact on me that I wanted to share that with all people, and knowing that, people of color are just have
Well, they're underutilizing.
exactly.
And I think we try to be very intentional about the folks, that are represented in the book,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the family that you see, that folks see themselves. And I think there has been a market improvement, and some new organizations are doing incredible work getting families out and making it easy to get out and leading hikes and doing events. And we actually end up at quite a few of them when we're going. I actually mostly go and stand there and hold the book pages. Audrey does the reading, and the kids are much more excited to chat with her than hang out with me. But we had one experience. We were at a Target doing the signing, and we should say, Target and the ad council played an incredible role in helping bring this book to life. And Target ended up actually printing and giving away thousands of copies nationwide this past summer as part of an effort to raise awareness of how incredible the forests are and get families out there. And we were at an event, and a kid came up who looks exactly like the boots, the rain boots she was wearing, and came up and was so excited to meet Audrey and see herself in the book, and get a signature. That it was almost as if we scripted it and someone had sent this kid in, on. But it's just getting even a 15-minute walk, and we don't reference any of the studies in the book because it's a children's book. But if you take even a minute and do a search on the impact that spending time in nature can have on everyone, but on kids in particular, and 15 minutes outside, hand on a tree, or just walking in a park, really reset your emotional state. It actually changes your cortisol level, and it's free and available to everyone if only they know to take the time to take advantage of it.
And I lucky to be able to talk to lots of authors who are also making sure that they are representing people of all backgrounds in their books. And I think it's especially important in books, and children's books in particular, about nature, because it is important that we are making sure that people of all backgrounds know that they can go out into the forest, and that, I mean, like my dad had said, it's a free resource and it's available to everyone, and to ensure that all people are really taking advantage of it.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And we should mention, I think you said it before, make sure people know that the book is also available in Spanish. And I know you've done, some readings with kids in like a Spanish class, or I don't remember if it was a classroom or a library, but and then a comment, so important for kids to be able to be kids, disconnect from the online world and appreciate the world around them. So true. And books like yours are playing such an important role in that. But I wanted to go back to what you were talking about, how you guys have done so much research, and all of this information about the benefits and also just the scientific information about the animals and the plants and so on that you find in the forest. How did you figure out how to talk about it, what exactly to talk about and mention in the book, and how to do it in a way that's still so fun and engaging.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
It
We had the incredible support of the forest educators and the leadership over at the U.S. Forest Service.
Mhm.
And these are folks who dedicate their career to sharing the wonder of nature, and in particular for the USFS of the forests in the United States. And as you might imagine, they have binders full of incredible information, which we read all of it and spent a long time figuring out how to distill it down to our target age group, and then further how to distill not just conceptually, but into rhymes
Right.
and things approachable. And it was incredible fun. It was incredibly frustrating, trying to find the rhymes and to figure out how to explain decomposition in the forest, and how some frogs even eat other frogs, and to do it in a way that hopefully is interesting and exciting and keep attention. But we had many meeting sessions with the Forest Service folks who kept us honest down to that salamander spot is not quite in the right place, and redwood forests are not all old, only some of them are old. So the level of the attention to detail on both the illustrations, which were done by our incredible illustrator and partner, Abby Gross, and all of the copy, the words, and making sure that we are correctly representing how everything, how everything is, or everything we speak to is. It was just a super fun experience.
Yeah.
I wish we could videotape of it, because we laugh at ourselves now, trying to figure it out. And I think we mostly got it there. We can't help but look at the book and say, oh, remember the 13th version of that line? I still think it was better, but we changed it to make the rhyme a little bit tighter, or to change the order of what we talked about. Hopefully, it gets across of the wonder of nature, and the way that Audrey wrote it, and she did most of the writing, also conveys the whimsy, right? Trying to do in a flat format, even with the incredible illustration that Abby did, it's just no comparison to standing in an urban forest or otherwise.
Yeah, and that's part of the. We included activities in the back of the book, list of things you can bring when you're going out in the forest. And one of my favorites is outside and closing your eyes and listening to the forest sounds around you and drawing it out on the paper. It's called sound mapping. Wonderful as well, because when I'm doing readings with kids, whether that's at an environmental center or at a school, able to give these activities to teachers and parents, and also do them with the kids, so that people have something to go out and do and look forward to in the forests. And it's just another one of those ways that we wanted to make sure that the forest is fun for kids, and that they have fun things to do when they're out there.
Right, just to make it a little bit easier for parents or caregivers, right, who maybe inherently know where we should spend some time outside. Here's some simple things. If you have a piece of paper and a pencil, you can do, you can do a sketch. If you don't have that and just you have ears, close your eyes, right, and listen and look for that bird you heard. And we've made sure that most all of the plants included in the book actually have the name of the animal and plant, so that you can do a little identification. And, what is that bluebird? Maybe it's a bluebird. What is that redbird? Robin? Is that a cardinal? And there again, every one of them fully vetted and approved by the Forest Service, to ensure that we're not sending kids and families in the wrong direction about the. We've made sure, in particular, that the poison ivy is very clear.
Good.
Do not touch it.
Yeah, and also that we included animals and plants and insects from all over the country as well. So that no matter where you're from, you can see, those birds that might be in your neighborhood. They're right in the book. You can see them when you're in the forest or just taking a walk around your neighborhood.
Yeah, I actually have had that experience of reading a book with my kids and, oh, let's go out and look, and oh, that's not something that's in our area. So I love that you did that, and especially including the activities, because I have to say, I mean, since you're trying to get families that maybe don't usually go out into the forest, and you're trying to get them, so, and maybe they do feel a little uncomfortable or unsure what they're supposed to do, so you give them some concrete things to do in the forest. Because even I was somebody who spent a lot of time in nature, but once you have kids, it's really different, like how to know how to help them interact with it. It's not as intuitive as you might think. So I love that you included those. And when you've done them with kids, what kind of reaction have you gotten from them?
The kids love them. It's so wonderful, because when I'm doing a reading, kids really enjoy the book, but it's just so different when you're doing something tactile, or you can be actively interacting with the forest and the nature around you. And kids' faces light up when they're, drawing on the leaf that they found on a piece of paper, or and it's also lovely because when we're doing those activities or when I'm doing a reading, these kids share with me their experiences in the forest, and all of the plants and animals that they've seen, and the fun things that they did when they were out in the forest. So it's really lovely for me to be able to see that my book has had an impact on kids, that they're spending more time outside, and that they're really enjoying the activities that they're doing in nature.
They have incredible stories. I think that should be the next one. It's just the stories we collect from these kids, and you realize that these are these walks, doing these visiting these places, they really are impactful and mean something to them, and they get there's a lot of joy and wonder of seeing an ant, right, or a squirrel, or you know sort of inherently, but then you ask them about it and they will tell you a story for 4 minutes with every detail of that squirrel and what it did, and it's just really fun.
That's great. Well, Audrey, you mentioned that you're a senior in high school, and you're not just that you're a senior, you're president of your senior class, you're an editor on the school newspaper, among many other things. How do you balance, being an author with that busy school schedule?
That's a good question. It's definitely tough. I do have a lot of schoolwork, and I have lots of responsibilities outside of school, but I just feel so lucky because, doing readings and spending time outside is a way that I stress. So it's almost a wonderful opportunity to get out of my schoolwork and to get out of, all of my other school responsibilities, and just talk to these kids, and it brings me so much joy. And so it's sort of how I balance, just like taking time to myself, and in that way I'm spending time with kids, and I'm going out in nature and being a student. So I think it's just a really wonderful balance that I've got going on.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And Taylor, as a parent, I'd love to hear from you if you have any tips for, how to support, here your child had this idea. How did you help her, not take it away and still have it be her idea, but yet be supportive and kind of help her make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, she's a very good writer and a pretty good rhymer. Although there's still a few that we lose sleep over. That we took some liberties. What rhymes with what? Look, I think most of it is sort of you try and encourage what they find interesting, and support it in any way that you can. And I think to your question about the schedule, I'm just so excited to get her away from a screen, or book that she's reading for required, and get over to like the Essex County Nature Center, which is this incredible resource, right, that is open to the public and available, and has a little butterfly enclosure that watching her suddenly become 5 again and play with these butterflies, it would land on her head, and it was just it brings me joy, or get excited about the strange turtle that we then had to go figure out what kind of turtle is that exactly. So just encouraging those things, and trying to be supportive, occasionally coming up with a rhyme she hadn't thought of, even if it doesn't actually rhyme.
Well, can you tell everybody, where do they find the book? I know you mentioned it's for sale at Target, and where else can they find it?
Absolutely. So the English language version is primarily available at Target. It will be more widely available soon, but right now you can get it at your local Target store or at Target online. The Spanish language version is available on Amazon, and both of them should now be available at most U.S. Forest Service visitors. That if they have a shop in the visitor center there as well, and they're available at quite a few libraries now, and we've been doing our best where we can to even make donations of copies to libraries, in particular school libraries, elementary libraries. And you mentioned it, the Spanish language in particular. Audrey's done a few readings with bilingual learners, and it's just it's incredible to see their faces change when you flip into their native language. Their English is perfectly fine, but it's different when we're doing a reading in Spanish, and and they tell the same squirrel and frog stories. It's just when they do it, and you find that commonality and that universality of the joy that they get from being in nature, and everyone has those stories, and you can find a way to bridge the language. You get that common humanity, that common experience.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you both for all that you're doing. It's such a wonderful book, and I also wonder, maybe just to close, you could share where your favorite place is to go in nature.
Oh, my absolute favorite it's called the South Mountain Reservation. Just right outside our door. It's about 5 minutes away from and there's a specific trail. It's called the Fairy Trail, and it's my absolute favorite. It's lined with fairy houses, and there's a little creek at the end of the trail, and that is my absolute favorite place to go to de-stress. I'll sit on the little rocks by the creek and breathe, and look around at all the fairy houses. And I think as a teenager, it's wonderful to like my dad was saying, a kid again, and just spend time outside and just enjoy all of the wonder that is out there. So that's my favorite. I don't know about you.
Oof, that's a tough one. So I'm in Jersey now, as we said, but I'm from California, and I think Joshua Tree is probably one of my favorite places. We're planning next summer a national park tour, so we'll definitely be if I had to pick the desert in Joshua.
That's someplace I haven't been before. We're in California, but I'm in Northern California, so I need to go down to Joshua Tree. We always go to Yosemite, which is one of my favorite places. Yeah.
Yosemite, Yosemite is always a place to spend time, but Joshua Tree is just it's very, very different than Yosemite, but beautiful in its own way.
And well, thank you both for being here, for sharing with us. It's so special to talk with you, and I mean, it's not just a fun book, a beautiful book, but it's making such a difference in the lives of kids. So thank you both for all you're doing, and thanks to all of you who are watching. Anybody that joined us late, we'll have it up on our Instagram in just a few minutes, and later on our YouTube channel. Good to talk to you with again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. Get out now. Get off screen and get out and enjoy some nature.
Yes. Yeah. Bye, everybody.